Hi, I'm Beth from Restyled Pieces Boutique. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing a full buffet makeover, start to finish, and I'm also going to be showing you how to get rid of that old brown nasty felt that is inside that drawer. So if you want to watch this makeover, stay tuned. I was pretty excited to get this buffet. It is in fairly decent shape. It has some repairs that need done. This drawer is stuck a little bit. It won't close right. This door will not close all the way. So I'm going to have to work on those, but it's very solid and it's solid wood. So I get to work right away, sweeping out all of that dust and dirt and taking out the drawers. There's that felt that I'm going to work on here after a while. And taking out all those drawers and getting ready to clean well. Here I'm marking the position of the drawer so I know where to put them when I'm finished working on it. And then it's time to start cleaning. I'm using my Pure Power from Farmhouse Paint. It is a cleaner, degreaser, gets rid of waxes and things that are on the piece so that I can make sure that after I've sanded, everything sticks well. I also rinse my piece with water well, and this makes sure all traces of the cleaner are off the piece. You can see here that the door is not working very well. I'm going to fiddle around a little bit with these screws. Sometimes when you loosen or tighten some of the screws on the hinges, you can get it to work. However, in this case, I wasn't that lucky. So here I'm just tightening all the screws back where they belong, and I'm getting my Surf Prep 3x4 electric ray sander with the Festool dust collector, and I am sanding off the top and the side and the underside so that I can get this to close much better. So check it out and see how I can get it to work. Success. I'm using the same process with the drawer because it won't close all the way, and I want to have a little extra room too as I'm painting that rim. Now I'm taking the hardware off of my piece, and I'm not sure which parts of the hardware I will use, if any, but I'll make that decision later. Next up is cleaning the underside. Oh my gosh, look at all those spider eggs. Blah! And spider webs. I hate cleaning the underside of the piece. I've already cleaned all of the rest of it, so we flip it over on its back, and then I'm just vacuuming that out well, and then I'll clean it with Pure Power as well. Here I'm using Quickwood. It's a 2-part epoxy putty, and I'm fixing a little gash that came out of the leg, that was out of the leg when I bought it. So you just mix it together with your hands, quick, quick, quick. I'm going to make it quicker than it really is till it's one color. And then I'm going to press that into the space that's missing, and then later I can sand it down. And when I say later, I mean tomorrow morning. So I'm going to continue to scuff sand my piece. And now it's time to remove this felt. I hate this felt. It just seems germy, and usually it's not in good shape. And so I'm going to remove it. And I'm trying to go through the back first to get a piece of it with my hand, but I can't seem to do that. So there's a lot of trial and error when I was trying to get a starting point for this. It seems to be stuck very well. As you can see, I'm scraping and pulling and scraping and pulling. It was taking forever. This was stuck very tight and it had a lot of glue. So I got out my my heat gun from Wagner, and I just tried to heat up that surface, and then hopefully it would loosen the glue, but it really was not working. I got pretty frustrated at this point, and I just kind of pushed it aside and thought, I'm just going to deal with this later. So I'm using a squishy pad on my Surf Prep sander to just curve around that epoxy putty, that quick wet epoxy putty that I put on there last night. So I'm just trying to kind of contour that so it looks normal and it blends in with the foot. So on some of the smaller parts and toward the end, I used my small gator sponge. It's a handheld sponge that's got sandpaper on it. And then I used a sanding card to kind of make that ridge in there that was at the top of the leg, and I wanted to continue into my repair. So now I'm continuing to scuff sand. For all the flat surfaces, I use just my flat regular sandpaper on my Surf Prep. For the curves and the crevices, I use the spongy pads. There's a lot of sanding in furniture preparation. So what you're doing when you're scuff sanding is just using a 150 or 180, and you're lightly sanding that whole surface so that you can remove some of the surface scratches and you can give your paint something to stick to when you rough up the surface of the finish. You can also sand to bare wood. I'm not doing that here. I'm just scuff sanding. I'm also scuff sanding the top. A lot of times I sand my tops down to bare wood, but I just decided that since I was going to just be painting the top along with the rest of the piece, that I would just scuff sand the top. And after scuff sanding, you want to make sure that you wipe your piece and get it as dust-free as possible. So here I'm just lightly misting a rag with my water bottle, and then I am just wiping all of that dust away. So here you can see I have two different widths of tape, and then I have the Scotch plastic with the tape attached to it. And I am just cutting that to tape up my places that I don't want spray dust to get into, because I am going to spray this piece with a sprayer. And I'm going through a similar process with my drawers. Don't forget to tape up those holes before you put your plastic on. Time to prime. I'm using Kiehl's Restoration Primer. It's become one of my favorite primers. It's very good at stopping bleed through, and it just gives your surface a nice, smooth painting surface so that when you actually paint it, it'll go on smoothly and evenly. This also helps to promote adhesion, which means making sure that your paint sticks to your surface. I'm using the Wagner Flexio 5000. I love this sprayer. It's light. The motor is actually in the box that's attached to that hose that you see there, and it sprays beautifully. Okay, this next part, you'll see me open the doors, and then you'll see where that plastic is that I used so that I wouldn't get spray on the inside of my piece. After I've primed and before coats of paint, I always sand with a 200 grit sanding sponge, just very lightly. I forgot to show that, but it makes your paint surface come out much smoother. Here I'm using latex caulk, and I am just putting it in between some of the seams where you could kind of see the seams showing. I just think this gives it a much more finished look instead of looking at those unsightly little gaps. And now it's time to paint. I am so excited to use this color. It is Farmhouse Evolution paint in the color Converted Navy. I love this color. It's kind of a chameleon color. Sometimes it looks more blue, sometimes it looks more gray in certain lights, but it's definitely a beautiful color. This paint is durable. It is easy to spray. It goes on smoothly. It doesn't require a top coat, really. Some paints say that, but this paint really doesn't. It is so durable. And we're ready to go. I like to spray my spray pattern onto a piece of cardboard just to make sure that it's wet enough. You want a nice wet film, but you don't want it runny. You also don't want to see big splatters when you try it out on your cardboard. If you see big splatters, you probably need to thin your paint a little more with water and change your settings a little bit. I let this dry overnight, and then it was time to tackle this goo on the inside of this drawer. I used Goo Gone in a spray form, and I just soaked it in that, waited about 3 or 4 minutes, and then I'm using my gloves and my respirator because, trust me, you'll need this respirator and these scrapers. I went to town and removing all of this residue and glue and leftover felt. And just to reiterate, Make sure you use that respirator because it is super strong smelling and you want to protect your lungs. You want to protect your hands. Super gooey, but there's just something satisfying about cleaning this all up. It's kind of like stripping paint or stripping varnish. And I really don't enjoy stripping, but this was kind of fun. As you can see, every once in a while, I lift up on those little wood dividers and I put my scraper underneath because there's felt under there. And it helped me to get that felt out from underneath those dividers. When I got it all removed, I used mineral spirits and a blue shop towel, and I just doused that in the drawer. And I wiped it up to get any residue that was left. If there were any dried pieces of felt, I just swept those up with a little handheld vacuum. Such a difference. I let it dry in front of a fan for a while, and then I was ready to put in my drawer liner when I got to that point. So here I am adding the hardware, and then I'm off to the next step. Here I'm using It's the Bomb by Farmhouse Paint. It is a wood conditioner and protector that I just rub on all those wood areas and the runners and the insides of the cabinets, and it just smells so clean and fresh and renews that wood. I decided not to put felt back in. I forgot to run the camera for the first part of this paper lining, but I have one box to go in the divided drawer, and I just measure my two sides of the peel and stick wallpaper. I peel it, I put it in, and then I trim it. And next, I'm going to lay that paper up there and just trim a little bit of extra so I don't have as much to cut off when I actually do install it. So it's a little tricky sometimes to get it exactly where you want it, and I didn't know which side of the print I wanted to put up or down. So it takes a little work, but then when you peel it off, it all works out. I just love doing these extra little pretty details in these pieces. It makes such a difference. And that's the final touch. So let's look at where we were before and now look at the after. Oh my goodness, I love the gold, I love the blue, I love the drawer liners and all those little details. It just turned out beautiful and I couldn't be happier. Thanks for joining me today. I'd love to have you subscribe to my channel, hit that bell button so you'll get notified when new videos come out, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.